Welcome back to Preparing for the Collapse Radio. If you've spent any time at all in the preparedness community, you know the drill.
Oh, yeah. Secure your water, count your calories, build that super detailed spreadsheet for your one-year food supply.
Exactly. But what happens on day 366? That's what we're getting into today. We are moving past the theoretical finish line.
That's so right.
Yeah.
We're unpacking the really essential and often kind of painful lessons that author Spirit Walker learned. We're talking about what breaks down after the initial stock up is done.
He really went past the spreadsheet and into the reality of it.
He did.
So our mission today is to help guide you from just stockpiling stuff to actually achieving some kind of long-term sustainability.
And if you think long-term about preparedness, this is absolutely for you.
It's the difference between having a full tank of gas and knowing how to drill for oil. It's a huge leap.
It is. And Spirit Walker's main discovery is, well, it's fascinating because it goes against what a lot of people think. He says the biggest failure point for most of these one-year pantry plans isn't the quantity you buy, it's the reality of usage.
Usage. So the plan looks good on paper, the calories are there.
The calories are all there, the budget looks solid, but then daily life, stress, and just morale, it proves the whole plan is faulty.
Okay, let's unpack that usage problem because it feels deeply psychological. We're talking about appetite fatigue, right? How does he break that down? Is it a psychological failure or a planning failure?
It's a bit of both, but it really starts as a planning oversight. The mistake is assuming that if something is, cheap and packed with calories, that you'll actually want to eat it.
Day after day after day.
In a stressful situation, no less.
Yeah.
Spirit Walker saw that these items think massive bags of dry beans, plain rice, bulk oats. They just don't translate into satisfying meals when you eat them constantly.
So people just burn through the good stuff first.
Immediately, they burn through their comfort foods, the canned soups, the spices, the quick meals, way faster than planned. And just like that, the flavor and morale buffer is gone.
So the goal isn't just surviving, it's surviving without losing your mind from the monotony. Which, that makes sense. But it also brings up something even more critical, he points out. The work-to-eat liability.
Yes.
What foods become a huge drain when the grid goes down.
This is where his analysis gets so practical. I mean, when your energy is low and cooking needs fuel like propane or wood, any food that needs a long, complicated prep just becomes a liability.
So like dried beans.
Dried beans are the perfect example. They might need hours of soaking and then another 2, maybe 3 hours of boiling just to be edible.
Wow.
That means you're using up tons of precious water and burning through critical fuel, all for just the base of one meal.
So if I have a limited supply of propane, spending half a day's worth just to cook a pot of beans, that cheap bag of beans suddenly looks incredibly expensive.
Exactly. And Spirit Walker's recommendation is, it's profound. He says to reduce anything that feels like work to eat.
Anything that's a chore.
Right. If it needs constant seasoning, long simmering, multiple steps, minimize it. Instead, you want to increase foods that integrate easily into one-pot meals. Or, things that need minimal heat, like dehydrated veggies that cook fast.
Efficiency in cooking becomes survival.
It's the same thing.
And that efficiency, it ties right back to the budget. But we need to stop thinking about the grocery receipt.
Yeah.
Spirit Walker makes us look beyond that price tag to the hidden costs.
That's the whole pivot. The price per item is a meaningless number compared to the true cost per calorie, and more importantly, the cost per meal.
Okay, so let's run a quick scenario based on what he found.
Sure. So item X is, let's say, $1 a pound, but it needs 3 hours of boiling and 4 cups of water.
Okay.
Item Y is $3 a pound, but it's pre-cooked or quick cook. It just needs 5 minutes of boiling and 1 cup of water.
Over a year, the fuel and water costs for item X, it would be astronomical.
Yeah.
It would make it way more expensive than item Y.
Way more. The fuel, I think that's one of the most underaccounted for things in preparedness planning. People buy the food.
But forget the energy needed to actually make it food.
It's the invisible expense. If you're relying on propane tanks or charcoal or even wood you've collected, every meal is a calculation. Spirit Walker really emphasizes aligning your pantry with your backup cooking methods.
So if you have a rocket stove, you need stuff that cooks fast.
Exactly. If you have a wood stove, maybe you can handle longer simmers, but you still need to be thinking about fuel-conscious meals.
And we can't forget the water drain. I mean, when the tap stops working, every drop counts.
Oh, every single drop. And foods that need soaking, rinsing, long boiling, they're just quietly draining your most precious resource, Probably faster than you can safely filter and replace it.
Precisely. And his work shows that this leads to another big mistake people make when they're shopping. We always hear about diversification, right?
Right. Buy a little bit of everything.
But Spiro Walker actually has a pretty strong critique of that whole approach.
He does. He argues against that conventional wisdom.
So how does he do that? I mean, variety is supposed to be key for morale.
And it is, but he says too much variety in low-impact foods is just a waste of money and space. You end up with like 20 different kinds of beans.
But no salt or oil to cook them with.
Exactly. You don't have enough of the seasonings or fats to make them edible. So instead, he argues for building depth in core staples.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Focus on a few highly versatile staples, things that form the predictable base for a lot of different meals, and then make sure you have more than enough resources to make those staples taste good.
So fewer experimental things and more, I don't know, wheat, rice, corn, but with massive amounts of fat, salt, sugar, and spices.
That is the core idea. A pantry built to support real, repeatable cooking will always, always outperform one built on the novelty of endless, low-volume varieties.
Consistency creates efficiency.
And it saves those critical resources we were just talking about, fuel and water.
Okay, moving on from consumption. Let's talk about the hard realities that spreadsheets never cover. Physical storage failure.
Right. Nobody plans for their stuff to go bad.
But Spearwalker says planning for loss is just practical.
It's mandatory. I mean, no matter how perfectly you seal your buckets, reality happens. Moisture gets in, especially in a basement or garage. Rodents find a way.
Containers fail, you spill things.
Spoilage is inevitable. Spirit Walker states it flatly. Any realistic one-year pantry needs a built-in margin for loss. If your plan is mathematically perfect down to the last calorie, it's already broken.
You need a buffer, like a 10 to 15% buffer.
At least. And planning for that loss isn't being pessimistic, it's just statistical realism.
And when you realize you need that margin, it leads you to this huge shift in mindset. That stockpiling alone, as Spirit Walker says, just creates a countdown timer.
This is the big realization after that first year. Once your stored food is your primary, maybe your only, source of stability, the whole game changes. You realize you haven't solved the problem, you've just delayed it.
The question shifts from how much do I have
to the really scary one. How do I replace what I eat?
So storage is the bridge, but sustainability is the destination. And if that clock is ticking, the only way to stop it is to start producing your own food.
Exactly. And Spirit Walker's expertise includes growing food off-grid, even in soil that most people would say is useless for gardening. He really emphasizes that transition.
And he details this in his book, Food Production Basics.
Right. He does. It's about moving from being a consumer to a producer, even on a small scale. And he also talks about how to raise the most sustainable, fastest reproducing meat source you can get.
Now, for someone listening who's just starting out, or maybe they're on a really tight budget, this whole idea of starting a farm can feel overwhelming.
Of course.
Does he offer any advice for starting small?
Absolutely. He says the smartest thing to do is just focus. If you only have the budget for one new item this month, make it something you already eat.
Progress, not perfection.
Infinitely more important. A small, functional pantry that you actually use and rotate is so much better than a massive unused one. His advice is clear. Use your pantry now. Don't wait. Let it teach you what works and what you actively avoid.
That feedback loop is essential. If you don't practice cooking with your stored food when things are easy, you're definitely not going to figure it out when the pressure's on.
Not a chance.
And that leads us perfectly to what Spearwalker calls the losing strategy.
This is a huge one. It's where people can invest thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars and still fail. The losing strategy is simple. Food storage without cooking knowledge.
A pantry full of ingredients is useless if you can't turn it into meals.
It's functionally meaningless if you can't reliably transform those staples into nourishing food when your energy, water, and morale are all at rock bottom.
You could have 50 pounds of wheat berries, but if you don't have a mill or know how to bake bread without an electric oven, that investment is just sitting there.
It becomes a heavy, bulky frustration. And that's why he points to time-tested wisdom. You know, methods from communities who never relied on fragile modern systems to begin with.
He specifically brings up Amish cooking.
He does, because Amish cooking is, well, it's a proven survival skill. Their recipes were developed without electricity, using the simple staples that preppers store: flour, beans, rendered fat, basic vegetables.
So when modern supply chains break down, their way of cooking doesn't change.
It just becomes the default method for everyone else.
And he has a resource for this, the book Time-Honored Recipes and Stories from Simple Living, Amish Kitchen Tales, Volume 1.
Yes, exactly. And that book provides practical, fuel-conscious recipes. They're all built around stretching simple ingredients, designed for cooking on wood stoves or with cast iron, and they focus on one-pot meals to save water and fuel.
So the value isn't just a list of recipes, it's the whole philosophy behind them.
It's so much more than just calories. Spirit Walker really stresses the psychological side of it. In a long collapse, morale and routine are absolutely critical.
Shared meals.
Shared meals anchor people. They create stability, a rhythm, a sense of normal life when everything else is chaos. Modern emergency food, which is often bland and solitary, completely misses that.
Right. Knowing how to make food that tastes good and feels normal without power, that's what keeps you sane.
That's what allows that one-year pantry to sustain not just life, but sanity. And that knowledge buys you the time you need to bridge that gap from storage to production.
Storage buys you time. Cooking knowledge lets you use that time wisely.
You got it.
Okay, before we close out, let's make sure you know where to find these resources from author Spirit Walker. He offers a ton of preparedness tools through his Nomadic Enterprises marketplace.
Nomadic Enterprises is really focused on homesteading, off-grid living, survival, all of it. You can find essential stuff there like off-grid power products and reliable hiking and camping gear.
And for those of you who are focused on that transition to production and natural health, they have garden seeds like organic delicata winter squash seeds, mullein seed, and also natural and alternative remedies like usnea in the lane leaf, all for long-term self-sufficiency.
And you can also find a lot of information on the Forgotten Wisdom blog. It dives deep into off-grid living and survival. We definitely recommend posts like Beyond Band-Aids, Why You Need an Off-Grid Healthcare Plan, and The Winter Apothecary.
Now, we mentioned the books that really form the foundation of Spirit Walker's strategy, the blueprints for real sustainability. And we're happy to announce there is a sale right now on the full Different Herd, preparing for the Collapse book series.
This really is the definitive collection for moving from just prepping to actual long-term competence. The series covers 3 crucial pillars. First is food production basics, which teaches you how to grow food off-grid and raise sustainable meat sources.
Second is the one we discussed today, Recipes from the Homestead, which includes Amish Kitchen Tales Volume 1. That gives you the knowledge to turn your stored staples into fuel-efficient, nourishing meals.
And finally, the third book, Foraging, Growing, and Making Natural Medicine. It's a comprehensive guide on how to diagnose what's ailing your family and then how to raise, grow, and forage herbs to make your own medicine. It helps you break that dependency on commercial supply chains for your health.
This series really gives you the functional knowledge to sustain yourself long-term, moving well past that initial storage phase. You can find a direct link to purchase the full Preparing for the Collapse book series sale right in the description below.
As we close out, let's just go over that core lesson from Spirit Walker one more time. The one-year pantry is a critical milestone, but it is never the finish line.
That stock up buys you time.
But the real work, the work of sustainability, is planning for what comes next.
So we'll leave you with this to think about today. Go look at your current pantry. What's the one core staple food you rely on most? The one that's just a number on a spreadsheet right now.
What can you start doing right now to produce or grow that yourself and take that essential next step toward true long-term resilience?
That's the foundation of all of this. Until next time.